more can I say?
Top Billin. Yo, Hokie Nation, your boy, the Underground King, Murf Baldwin, back at it again with this coaching search. I'm fired up, man. Absolutely fired up. I'm just thinking about the prospects of Virginia Tech in the future if they were to nail. No, we're going to breathe this into existence, baby. Think positivity. Salute to my man Whit Babcock out there. He's going to make a great decision because he's going to choose one of these guys that I'm talking about today, which will be a great decision in my eyes. And in my eyes, I only care about because I know that these coaching searches usually don't go the way fans think it will go. So I'm just going to put my thoughts out there. Hopefully my thoughts can make it to Whit Babcock and he can choose one of these candidates today, and it will be all gravy for them Hokies moving forward so we can get back to that tradition and not having to hear a lot of these Southern insurrectionists who frequent my channel talking about the Hokies in a negative manner like they've been doing to me. So I don't want to hear that shit no more. I want Whit Babcock to come through for your boy, and to do that, he will need to hire one of these candidates, man. So I'm going to talk about my man Charles Huff at Marshall, the head coach of Marshall. I'm going to go back on Josh Gaddis again for those who didn't see the previous one. Make sure you go and check that one out as well, because I talked about a couple of other candidates that I don't believe will be a candidate, but I would love to breathe that into existence as well. One being the hacker, Dan Mullen, who I've covered on this channel here for the past 3 years covering the Florida Gators. So definitely one of my favorite head coaches right there, and he's actually on the market. I believe I put that out in the ethers for that to come true, with him and Fuente on the market at the same time. Go and get Dan Mullen if you can, with Babcock. But also want to touch on, of course, maybe a little Hugh Freeze at the end. People keep asking me about him, but I wanted you guys to see me react to this thing right here in Whit Babcock's press conference right here. This really stood out to me.
The early signing period, again, wasn't a factor in the timing today, but it's always a factor. No, we would not rule out coordinators. All I mentioned earlier was typically, we're in the risk removal business if we can. A sitting head coach that's done it, I just think there are some coordinators that can do it. But when your first job is a Power 5 job, sometimes it's a little tough to cut your teeth on that. So, but no, we don't rule out anybody. If it's the right person, even if they're not a coordinator, we'll do it. It's just typically at this level, you like to try and find head coaching experience.
Oh, man. So, yeah. So he says all the right things. Whit Babcock is a sharp dude. I really actually very much like Whit Babcock. I like how he presents himself. I like how he answers questions. I like how he deals with the media. He's a good dude. I like Whit Babcock a lot. But I'm able to read between the lines, right? I wanted to either study marketing or psychology in college, and I went the marketing direction, but I always pay attention to the psychology of things. And he's not ruling out a coordinator, but you can just tell the energy that he put into even talking about a sitting head coach or somebody with head coaching experience opposed to a coordinator, which to me is absolutely absurd. It's ludicrous. Come on, man. In this day and age, you have to know exactly who you are and what you represent. I'm not dumb. These people try to come on this channel here because obviously this channel is built off the back of covering the SEC, which I have done for 8 years. Right, starting back at Bleacher Report, SB Nation, Saturday Down South, Yahoo Sports Radio. I had a show, a nationally syndicated show I co-hosted there. Several other things in the media space there. So 99% of people know me from covering either the SEC or a little NFL as well, or NFL. I covered the NFL as well. So with that being said, a lot of these people come here and they try to tell me about Virginia Tech, and they try to talk shit because if they don't like my opinion on their team, they'll talk shit to me about Virginia Tech. This, I'm saying, it's a newfound thing here with me actually letting people know after all this time that I was a Virginia Tech fan. But it doesn't bother me because I'm a realist, and I know that Virginia Tech is not one of these teams that I cover. Virginia Tech is not Alabama. Virginia Tech is not Georgia. Virginia Tech is not even Florida. Those schools are tried and true blue blood type schools, right? Maybe a little overrated in some of the things that they've done, but those schools are just better off than Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is the type of school to where you do take a coordinator. Look at the guys around you. Virginia Tech lost to Pittsburgh. This coach Narduzzi at Pittsburgh, was he a head coach somewhere before he was the head coach at Pittsburgh? I'll hang up and wait, Whit. No. Come on, Whit. Don't do that to yourself, man. The candidates out there who to me would be special for Virginia Tech are going to be coordinators as well, right? So Charles Huff, we'll get to him here in a second there, but a guy like Josh Gaddis represents a lot of the stuff a guy like Pat Narduzzi did. Or look at the kid, he looks like a little skater boy to me. The coach at BC, Jeff Hafley. Was he even a coordinator before? You can pretty much say he was a position coach hired to BC from Ohio State. He was just there, I think, like a season at Ohio State. Before then, he was in NFL, I believe, as like a position coach. You lost to BC too. I could go on and on throughout the conference. This conference, unless it's Clemson or something like that, even Clemson didn't hire a previous head coach. They promoted from within, so it's a little bit different. However, you cannot shut yourself off. And I know you said that, and I don't want to misconstrue what you said, but I'm just looking at it, and I could just tell the energy that you put on saying that you would probably rather have at this level. To me, you have to know your level. There's levels to this, and Virginia Tech is not there, but it's not a bad thing. Virginia Tech is a regional school, mid-tier Power 5 program that can get national results. We used to take it to all kinds of all these big boy schools that people talk about. When it was rolling, a lot of these guys couldn't fuck with Virginia Tech, and we're putting people in the NFL by closing off the borders of the state, plucking from the DMV area, plucking from Florida, maybe going up to a New Jersey or New York here and there, but really honing in on the state. That's a regional school. It just so happens to be a regional school in a hotbed. That's the great thing about Virginia Tech. It is a regional school in a hotbed. It is not Louisiana State University. It's not USC, any of those teams like that. So a coordinator would be fine at this level. This is where you cut your teeth, to be honest with you, and then you probably move on to a bigger job. However, if you get somebody with ties to the state, maybe this is their bigger job that they would like to stay at. So I wanted to clarify that right there. Come on, Whit. Do not shut yourself off from coordinators. You can't be serious, man. Right? But with that being said, man, let's go ahead and get into it. Charles Huff. My man Charles Huff I've known about for a long time. Right? One of the teams that I always pay attention to, kind of like a cousin team, is Penn State. There's a reason why I wanted James Franklin to coach the Virginia Tech Hokies. I put it in the long shot category, of course, but I love James Franklin dating back to his time at Maryland. He did a great job in Vanderbilt, but what he does is he's a master coaching search guy or something like that. His assistant coaches, if you look around the landscape, how many guys who've gone through that Penn State landscape, including Josh Gaddis, right, was on the same staff with Charles Huff, so both of these guys very similar in that aspect. And they've been around a program that recruits the DMV as well as anyone, if not better than anyone in the entire country, Penn State. So having that with him, being the running backs coach at Penn State, that man is known, right? His biggest claim to fame, of course, is the recruiting of Saquon Barkley to Penn State, one of the greatest running backs in college football history, one of the best running backs in the NFL, of course, as well. That man did the damn thing there, but, man, he's recruited all kinds of people there. He is a master recruiter, and he can dominate the Eastern Seaboard. And, of course, his tie is being from the state of Virginia as far as where he went to school at in Hampton, and then being from Maryland. He is a DMV product. So I love everything about Huff. I actually may have Huff's card around here from some previous dealings of me working with a trainer, if people may remember here on the channel here back in the day. I remember Huff came through, and he was at Mississippi State at the time. So he was with a guy that I probably will talk about in the future as well by the name of Joe Moorhead, who came from Penn State and is the offensive coordinator at Oregon. When he left Penn State, he went to be the head coach at Mississippi State. He made sure to bring along that man, Charles Huff. Then Charles Huff, in turn, got stolen from Joe Moorhead by the great Nick Saban. So he's been under James Franklin and Nick Saban, recruiting his ass off. Guys like this can go to kids, and I've seen it a million times. A lot of people in this business can talk about stuff from the outside and kind of give their opinion on it. I'm a little bit different here, being in the business, working with recruits. People know the type of relationships that I have in this business with my big bro, Coach Kenyatta Watson, who is now on the staff at Florida State University, just being around a whole bunch of different business dealings. This guy has some cachet to him. If you talking to a kid and you're like, yeah, I coach Najee Harris and, of course, Brian Robinson and Keelan Robinson and all these guys there. I took Keelan Robinson from out of Washington, D.C. and brought him to Alabama and was in on some of these guys that they got from the DMV that went to Alabama. He can claim that, right? He's got some cachet to him like you would not believe. First-year head coach at Marshall right now, doing very well. He just exudes confidence, and I think he would be a perfect fit for Virginia Tech. Do I like him more than Josh Gaddis? I've been thinking about this the past few days. I do not like him more than Josh Gaddis, but I know Whit Babcock does because he has now 1 year of experience. It's funny. He's never been a coordinator or anything like that. He's always been a running backs coach, then gets hired to be a head coach. But in Whit's mind, that would probably make him a little bit more of a viable candidate, which makes no sense to me. Josh Gaddis, on the other hand, has been a coordinator, right? A coordinator. Right? He doesn't deal with the day-to-day activities of a coach. However, he comes with having his own offense. That man does not have his own offense. He's going to have an offensive coordinator. You could very well get a situation like Brad Cornelson with this guy. If you bring the wrong offensive coordinator, and I'll go over his offensive coordinator, I don't know a lot of these people on his staff. I know a couple of the people on the staff pretty well, but you have to think about that as well. And nobody on his staff has ties to the DMV, which is, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is there. So you got to think about that. I look at everything. I don't just look at the name. So who's Charles Huff bringing with him? We can see right here for Charles Huff on his thing right here, a lot of the stuff that I already said that I already know about, of course, Saquon Barkley, and then his thing that he was on James Franklin's staff at Vanderbilt as an offensive quality control coach. Huff and Franklin also worked together at Maryland in 2009, so he was at Maryland under Franklin. Franklin's just a good guy to be around. He will coach up his coaches. He is one of those type of guys. James Franklin is like an Urban Meyer, without the results of an Urban Meyer, obviously, but Urban Meyer coaches up coaches. That's why a lot of people go and get Urban Meyer assistants. So he is well schooled there, and then he went through Coach Saban's program at Alabama as well, and seeing how organized they are at Alabama. I think he would be a home run hire. I do, but he's a home run hire that depends on who he brings as coordinators. Not necessarily concerned about the defensive coordinator, although I am. Your defensive coordinator, your defensive backs coach, and your wide receivers coach should be your stud recruiters. Those are the guys who get to recruit a lot of different people, and you need guys, to me, that can recruit the DMV area there. If you don't have any ties there, that doesn't mean you can't recruit there. You just need to be a really good coordinator, a really good recruiter. However, if you do have ties there and you're able to tie things into kids, that's what sells. If people don't understand about marketing and sales, all you're doing is marketing yourself. If you go to somebody and you're able to tell them about different stories of being in Virginia, whether it be if you growing up there or just working there or working in the DMV area, and you know this person who knows that person and this and that, that's how relationships are formed. Frank Beamer, of course, playing at Virginia Tech and being there all those years, all those pipelines were established with him and then some of the guys there. So my thing with Charles Huff is it's hard. He would pretty much need to not bring 95% of these guys on his staff right now. Tim Cramsey. Who the hell is Tim Cramsey? I have no idea. And this is what I do for a living. I know coaches among coaches. To me, that means he was at a lower level somewhere. Let's see where he was at. Shit. I can see where he was at right there. He's a Georgia native, okay. Group of 5, Conference USA. So he's been at Marshall. It's his 4th season at Marshall as the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. So what big-time recruits has he been around at Marshall for the past 4 years? And then before that, he probably was at a lower level. He was at Sam Houston State. What does that have to do with the DMV area in Virginia specifically? Not saying he can't do the job or he can't be a great offensive coordinator, but these are things you have to think about and weigh to me if you're Whit Babcock. Lance Guidry, the defensive coordinator. Southeastern Louisiana, McNeese State, right? So this guy has ties in the state of Louisiana. Not a bad school to have ties in, but it's definitely much tougher to tell somebody from Louisiana who is a top recruit to skip over going to LSU, skip over going to Mississippi State, or skip over going to Alabama where all your friends can come see you, your friends and family can come see you play, and come all the way to Virginia Tech to the Commonwealth, which is a great school and will get you some great results. It's just a tougher sell, and he does not have the cachet to do that. Maybe if he were one of these superstar coaches like a Coach Ed Orgeron or somebody like that, then that's a different story. Got to weigh it in. I don't know none of these dudes. I know this guy very well right here. I could call him up on the phone right here, Telly Lockett. Telly Lockett was at Oregon State. I had some friends on the Oregon State staff, and Telly Lockett I met before as well, and he's huge in the Miami area. He was I want to say he was at Miami Central. I know he coached like Dalvin Cook and those guys in high school. He was a great Miami coach in high school, and then he was at Florida State, Oregon State, and places like that. No ties to Virginia. I don't know the rest of these guys. I know who Clint Trickett is. Obviously, he played at Florida State. We know about his dad being a great offensive coordinator. Clint Trickett, maybe not a bad person to bring. He was at West Virginia, of course. But there you go. So this guy's probably going to want to stay connected with these guys here. And does that look like something that is a winning formula to you? It could be. Could be, but if I'm him, I'm leaning in and going to get guys like Torian Gray. I'm going to get guys like Todd Grantham, guys that I named before, Brian Steinspring. I want to surround myself with guys like that who understand the fabric of the state of Virginia and who can help close off the state. Too many great players all around the state that went to Michigan or Penn State or Ohio State. Travion Henderson, Blake Corum, I said before. I was looking at certain classes and looking at like Michigan's class. They had like a 2020 class. Like, check this out right here. Blake Corum they got out of Maryland, St. Francis, but he's originally from Virginia. They also had Osmond Savage, an outside linebacker who will be starting. Top 300 players, he will be starting at Virginia Tech. He's just wasting away at Michigan, right? Hill Green here, the outside linebacker from St. Francis Academy in Baltimore. Got a tight end in Matthew Hibner from Burke, Virginia. Top 400 player at tight end there. Look, these guys recruiting. They're recruiting another guy from Maryland here, Chris Jenkins, Our Lady Good Counsel, right? Josh Gaddis is around some top players right now. He's still around that, and he comes with his own system that he'll be calling the plays and everything, and he'd be able to assemble his own staff there. Because he doesn't have a staff right now. Maybe you tell him he goes to Virginia Tech. Maybe he thinks, all right, let me get people from the area. That's the difference I see between him and a Charles Huff. Not saying Charles Huff has to come with those people that he has there, but those are your guys right now. We've seen it before. Coach Fuente brought plenty of coaches with him from Memphis, right? Some of them worked out, some of them didn't. Holman Wiggins, very good player, very good coach that he brought from Memphis, but what about some of those other guys there? He had to go and definitely get himself some Virginia Tech players too. So I want to know what you think about Charles Huff. Great recruiter. I'll dive into his offense as far as a film study here at a later date if I see something really going down with him. Same thing with Josh Gaddis there. I just really want to put the Josh Gaddis thing out there. Maybe we can get the Whit and he can get off that high horse of having to have a head coach or someone with head coach experience, man. That ain't the move, man. Josh Gaddis is ready. You know why else Josh Gaddis is ready? Check this out right here. A lot of people don't know, but Josh Gaddis has a coalition academy, and he partnered up with who? Whit Babcock, of all people. And it's about helping minority coaches learn how to interview and different things of the sort, right? So call it the minority port, whatever you want. I honestly want a minority coach at Virginia Tech. I think it's time. I think if you think about the landscape just in general, just in the DMV area. Just look at the legends and the type of things and the dealings that go on at Virginia Tech having to do with African-American players, right? If you think about, I covered Georgia, and Georgia people always cried to me about having a black quarterback. And I'm thinking to myself, is that a thing? I'm a little kid watching Virginia Tech, watching like Maurice DeShazo and Al Clark and people like that. Think about it, man. Michael and Marcus Vick, Tyrod Taylor, Brian Randall, Gerard Evans, Quincy Patterson, Hendon Hooker, like a ton of black quarterbacks at Virginia Tech. That's not a thing here. This area is rich with affluent black people and rich with just huge African-American support. That does not have to be the thing or whatever like that. You want the best coach. However, a guy like Josh Gaddis and Whit Babcock, they've already set that in motion as far as helping out minority coaches. Now, all of a sudden, you want somebody with head coach experience? That makes no sense to me. Why are you working with this guy? You just did it just to get your name there with or something like that? Come on, bro. That's the actual guy you working with. This guy would be perfect. He's from the area as well, or he's worked in the area, obviously, recruiting the area and being with James Franklin at multiple spots. Come on. Josh Gaddis right here. Played at Wake Forest, knows the ACC landscape, but, of course, comes with recruiting that area in Penn State and recruiting that area at Michigan currently, being around all those players that came from Virginia, D.C., and Maryland. Like some I just named in that 2020 class there. Come on, man. Babcock has this guy's number. They've worked together in a coalition academy. That ain't perfect, but he has to be a head coach. This guy's ready, man. Some of these guys just not going to get that opportunity. Virginia Tech is a perfect opportunity for a guy like Josh Gaddis. Charles Huff already had always a head coach right at a lower level than Virginia Tech. It's perfect for him as well. I'll get to Hugh Freeze at another time. I'm not big on Hugh Freeze, to be honest with you there. He's a pretty good coach there. I know the Liberty thing has people all crazy. Liberty beating Virginia Tech last year. That's funny, though. I cover Ole Miss right, at Saturday Down South when they lost to Memphis, who was coached by Justin Fuente. Come on now. Liberty's not doing as well this year. The quarterback looks not as good this year in Malik Willis when it looked like he could be the number one quarterback taken perhaps this year. They've taken a step back there. Hugh Freeze comes with a lot of baggage, man. Come on, man. Let's give some of these minority coaches a chance. You're going to go back and get retreads like Bible-thumping, hooker-banging Hugh Freeze? Right, who has major recruiting violations, had his wins stripped and everything like that. You give him a shot over some of these guys like that. Hugh Freeze is a good coach. There's no doubt about that, man. But maybe there's something out there better, something that resonates with this area a little bit better. And I think these guys do. Billy Napier. I'm good. I you know what I mean? Like, let him stay where he is. Get the Louisiana State University job. Or the Florida job. Not here, man. He has no ties to Virginia. I'm pretty sure he's a decent coach there. But we seen him as the Clemson offensive coordinator. How did that go? He was not good then. He was the laughing stock of the ACC with his Clemson offense. Dabo had to run him out of town. He went through the car wash twice at Alabama as a wide receivers coach, and I believe an analyst before that. He's doing great at Louisiana, but who the hell are they playing? He's playing some really poor competition and then is dominating it, no doubt about that. I know he'll be a good recruiter, but where is he going to recruit at? Probably in his landscape. He's very much like Fuente. People want to sit there and in hindsight and say that they didn't like the Fuente hire. I don't do that bullshit. I'll never, ever be fake about anything in life. That was a great hire. Whit Babcock did a great hire, but you don't want to go back and do that again. It didn't work out. Try something different. Right? Fuente was hot as hell at the time. There was a whole bunch of coaching candidates that he was hotter than, like a coach Kirby Smart at Georgia. Another guy who was never a head coach before and now has the number one team in the country. It looks like it could win the national championship this year, who recruits like nobody's business because he's from Georgia, played at Georgia, recruited that area in Alabama. They put him there. It was plug and play, and it's worked out to perfection for those guys. Come on, you don't have to have a head coach there. So I'm not big on Billy Napier. I would want Hugh Freeze over him. Hugh Freeze would be down the line for me, but if he were to go to Virginia Tech, I wouldn't be mad about it. I think he's a pretty good coach, and he's already in Virginia right now. So there it goes. But Huff and Gaddis on this round right here. Leftwich was on the first round. I forgot to mention him. I just don't think that'll happen. Maybe he is too tried and true with the NFL. And people talk about a coach in waiting, although the NFLPA would never put that in a contract. So he would have to wait around and wait till Bruce Arians retired so he could be the coach in waiting. But to me, somebody should hire him like the Seattle Seahawks should hire him now, right? This offseason. He shouldn't have to wait around for a shot. He's ready. As an offensive coordinator under Bruce Arians, he's ready. But Bruce Arians could hook that man up, right, his alma mater, Virginia Tech, and make that man or persuade that man to coach here, that would be perfect, all right? But let me know what you think, guys, about those guys there. I know people still going to want to talk about Napier and Freeze. That's cool. I want to talk about Gaddis and Huff, and then we can move on to those guys maybe at a later date, all right? Well, it's your boy Murf, the Underground King, man. Much love to Hokie Nation out there, baby. We'll get it together sometime soon. All right? Peace.
What more can I say?
Top Billin.